If your sponge filter sounds like this, you might need to do some maintenance. If your air pump is turned on full blast and these are the only bubbles you're getting out of your sponge filter, it might be time to maintain your sponge filter. Hey everybody, hope you're doing great today. This is Paul from This Way to the Aquarium. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about sponge filter maintenance. As you saw in a couple of those clips over there, your sponge filters can run into problems. They can have their flow reduced. They can get pretty noisy. So just some simple maintenance tips to take care of them and keep them working great. Sponge filters themselves should last for quite some time. I've heard reports from others that these filters have been running for at least 10 years, if not more. These tanks aren't that old for me, but I do have a number of sponge filters in here that are at least 3-4 years old. So I can attest to that they've got a pretty solid design, they last, and they do the job that we need it to do, and that is to filter the tank for some particulate, as well as serve as a means for biological filtration in your tank. So let's take a look at some of the sponge filters that I have in these tanks over here, kind of look at what's going on, and talk about which ones do need maintenance, and also be showing how I maintain these filters as well. So here's an example of a sponge filter that looks like it might need some cleaning, but as you can see from the flow over there, the bubbles are still coming out pretty well. There's quite a bit of algae on it. So the algae serves as an additional filter. So with our filter here, we've got bacteria formed on the sponge filter that filters for ammonia, converts that ammonia to nitrite, and that nitrite is then converted by another bacteria to nitrate. And of course, with the algae there, algae loves nitrate. Well, then that filter, because it has algae on it, is also consuming nitrate. Now, if the flow were getting really bad, if I thought it was slow or the noise was making a noise like that other tank I showed there, then in that case I would clean it. Obviously it does need to probably be repositioned there. As you can see, the fish, these are shell dwellers over here. They love to redecorate the tank, reorganize things. And so they did push some sand up into the filter on the side of the filter over there. But as we can see, the bubbles are still coming out there fine. It's not a big deal. So I'm not too concerned about this. When checking levels such as nitrite, nitrates, not reading much in this tank. So everything is running smoothly. This is another tank that I do have issues with at times. As you can see, this filter has some algae on it, not as bad. And that's because the Culidochromis fry in there like to munch on that algae, and that dislodges the algae and pushes it up further into the sponge filter, and it starts growing in and around the tube. So as you can see, the flow of air there is a little weaker, and I do have to maintain this more regularly. And basically that's just involving cleaning the tube over there, which I will show when I go clean that other filter over there. But usually, as long as it's flowing, this kind of flow here is good too. It's not, in terms of the population of the tank, they're small fry, so they're not putting out a huge bio load compared to if there were like all these fish in here. There's probably at least 40-50 fry in there. If they were all 4 inches full adult size, then yeah, definitely would cause a pretty heavy bio load. But these are small fry, and they don't eat that much, don't produce that much waste. So the tank is pretty stable. Here's an example of a couple brand new filters, sponge filters I just installed. So this is a 75-gallon tank, newly set up. You can see there the flow is pretty good, both sides. This is a slightly different filter. It's a little more dense compared to this one here. This one's an Aquarium co-op filter, a little more porous, but they both do the job in terms of collecting debris. So brand new, these really don't need maintenance. Flow is great. So when it comes to removing these filters, what some people will do is they suggest putting a bag in there, taking some sort of large bag, and then putting that filter inside the bag and then taking it out. That way you're going to get less debris kicked out in the tank, which is always a possibility. That's not something I want to do in terms of sticking a bag in there. I think it's going to cause a little more challenge in terms of getting it out of there, especially in this tank over here, as there are, you can kind of get a peek over there over the algae. The parents over there, there's fry in there, so I don't really want to stick a bag in there and disturb them. They're pretty sure they're probably got eggs in their cave over there. There's a little fake cave, a little artificial cave over there. So try to disturb them as little as possible. And with this, as you can see, it's kind of a sputtering in terms of flow. And they've kicked some sand onto it too, so I'll just grab it up real quick. By sticking a bag in there, that's definitely going to disturb them, kind of freak them out. So the quickest thing for me to do is just pop the ear line tube off, grab it out, put it in a bucket, rinse, clean it, and put it back in the tank. So when it comes to cleaning these filters, you don't want to use chlorinated water, so anything straight from the tap. You don't want super hot, super cold. Best would be to use similar temperature as your tanks. If you want to use tap water, then at least collect the tap water, treat it, basically put in your dechlorinator, and then rinse it in that, or just grab some water out of your tank, pour it in a bucket, and then just squeeze it off into the bucket over there. I'll show that here in a few. But if you use chlorinated water, you run the risk of reducing your bacteria population on these filters. So in the case where I've got multiple filters, I don't think I'll have an issue on an underpopulated tank, especially like the shrimp tank. But like on this tank here where there's only one filter, I really wouldn't want to use chlorinated water. I'll just use dechlorinated water or tank water, squeeze it out, and then that way most of the bacteria population is staying there and you're just getting rid of some of the debris in the filter to help improve the efficiency of the filter. So let's pop this filter out here. So I've got the bucket here that I'm going to use for this. Let's open it up. Get some water out of the tank here first. It's going to be the water that I squeeze off the dirt and debris out of the sponge. I'll top this off a little later too with some fresh dechlorinated water, so it serves as also additional purposes as a little bit of water change. I've got enough water in the bucket. The easiest way to do this is pop your hand in there. I'm going to remove the airline tubing here. Just going to leave it in there for now. Let's gently and slowly take that out. There's some mulm that's going to be kicked up. It's okay. Got it out. There's always going to be mulm in your tank. It's going to get kicked up out of there. Nothing really you can do about it. Once I pop that filter back in there, it'll start taking it up again. Let's head on over to the tub side where rinse out that filter. For this, I did also buy the set of brushes here. They're bottle brushes. Bought it off of Amazon. It's $5-6. Has varying different sizes of brushes, and I really want to use this to clean the tubes. Got some flexibility as well too, so it'll help clean out that curved tube over there. So first thing first, let's pop off the Aquarium co-op tube. I'm just going to quickly run the brush in here. So the air line connects in right there, and then there's a little ring around here where that feeds the air into this and then runs up the tube. So it needs cleaning on both ends here. This is not something that I do very frequently in terms of cleaning this out with the brush. This, as you could see, it was pretty noisy, so I just wanted to get it taken care of. Now with that out of the way, comes the sponge. All I'm going to do is just squeeze it off into the tank water over here. Get it wet, take it out, squeeze it out some more. Clearly I'm not going to get everything out of this. Mainly it's just to improve the flow and get back to better flow and better filtration. So depending on the load of your tank, how many fish in there, that's going to control on how often you have to do this, basically what frequency you're going to have to be doing it at. In this case, this is probably at least 6 months since I've last cleaned it. So it does take you a little while. And again, that's an under stock tank. It's just two adult Julitochromis parents and their fry. And the fry I regularly move out too as they start getting up there in size. So now that this is done, we'll take it back to the tank over there. I got everything cleaned up. Time to put it back into the tank over here. Mount the... Gonna kick out a lot of dirt there. Just cleaning out the filter there with all the airflow. So I did kick out some more mulm in there, but that's gonna get cleaned up over the next hour or two. And it's just the mulm that's already been in the tank over there, nothing harmful. Not gonna harm the fish. As you can see here, the filter's flowing great now, and it's not noisy either. Compared to the flow where it was earlier, kind of chugging along. Now it's running pretty smoothly and not noisy, which is great. Because having that noise from a sponge filter or any type of filter can take away from the enjoyment of your fish room, fish tank, whatnot. So when you're done with this wastewater here, don't pour it down the drain. Got some healthy stuff in there for your garden, some organic material. So do what I'm going to do. Take it and pour it into your garden. If you're finding this video to be helpful so far, please hit that like button so others can find it too. Here's the tank about 5-7 minutes later. Already a lot of that debris kind of settled down, filtered out. So with that, let's go work on the upstairs tank and take care of that filter as well too. So with this, I really just want to show the removal of this filter. Already showed how to clean it. This filter, the sponge filter, is an Aquarium co-op sponge filter, a little less dense than the other one. The other one has finer foam in there, so this is going to have some more debris inside it, and I expect to see some more debris kicked up as I take it out. The difference with this tank compared to that 20-gallon tank I showed downstairs, this tank has two filtration methods. One is the sponge filter, which you see down there, and then on the other end, which you can't see right here that great, but there's a mechanical filter there, internal mechanical filter. So even if I took off the sponge filter, there's still filtration in there, but this is just a secondary filtration I have on one on each side of the tank, just kind of keep the flow going in this longer tank. So let's remove that out there and then clean it up, and then I'll show you the results after it's been cleaned up and how the flow looks. As you can see, the airflow from the pump is going pretty strong. So it's just a clogged up filter. If you're concerned about all the mulm that gets kicked up, then I would recommend doing your filter maintenance alongside a water change. Grab your Python, whatever siphon you've got, and then siphon that all up as well. In this case, I've got two filters in the tank. I've got a mechanical filter in there. It's already going to start picking up stuff. Once I get this cleaned out, it's going to be filtering as well too. Time to pop it back in. Still some debris getting kicked up in there. it up through the filter now too. So the flow has improved quite a bit. Did kick up quite a bit of mold in there, as you can see. Not harmful to fish, not going to cause any problems with that. Those filters there are already working to clean it out. So it's about 25 minutes later, a lot of the mold has settled down or starting to get filtered out. Still some in there, probably be another hour or two before it fully gets cleared up. But taking a look at the bubble flow over here, you can see it's much greater flow, so the filtration has improved quite a bit. So with this type 2, since in this case I do have multiple filters, I've got a power filter over here, internal power filter, a sponge filter on this side. I recommend, if you're going to clean out the filters, especially when you've got more than one, rotate your cleaning. So if you're cleaning 1 month, say like today I cleaned the sponge filter over here, I will leave this one alone, I won't clean it out. And on another time when I'm going to clean the filter and do a water change, so this filter actually has 2 sides to it, basically the same thing on each side, a sponge filter on each side. So if we're going to clean this, I would only clean out one side at a time, and then later on clean out the other side. That way you're not overly disrupting the biological filtration in there. Well, this is a pretty mature tank and I don't expect it to have many issues. It's always better to be safe than sorry. So I will rotate. Now we're in the case, as I showed with that tank in the basement, that one that was pretty noisy. There's only one filter in there, and the only choice I have is to clean that filter when I need to clean that filter. So what I do at that time though is I also need to monitor the tank, make sure the nitrites or nitrates aren't spiking. If the filter did lose some of its biological capability, we don't want to harm the fish, so we want to go in there and add the chemicals that lock up the ammonia, lock up the nitrate, so it's not harmful to your fish, and then let that cycle slowly recover. So anytime you do a water change, filter cleaning, always make sure to monitor your tank for the parameters. Make sure the nitrites or the ammonia are not getting out of hand. So all in all, the process of cleaning out your sponge filters is pretty easy. It doesn't take much effort. You actually don't even need the extra tool that I got, that tube cleaning brush I purchased separately from Amazon. You can clean these easy flow tubes or any other tubes that you might be using for your sponge filters. It's a matter of just letting the tube dry out a little bit, even getting a piece of paper towel, sliding it through there, cleaning that tube from the inside. In this case, since there's an air collar on these easy flow tubes, for me, I think the brush works well. You can get any type of bristle brush from the hardware store if you prefer, or use a toothbrush, just stick it in there, swipe it around, clear out those air holes in there, so that way the flow improves for your sponge filters. It is something you should do on a regular basis, especially when the flow slows down or it gets noisy, as I showed you over there. You want to keep that efficiency of the filter up, because not only is it filtering particulate, it's also serving as a biological filter. And so as that water flows by, picks up the ammonia, picks up the nitrite, converts it. And as we've seen in the one filter too, if you've got algae growing on it, as long as it's not slowing down the flow, you can let that algae grow on there too. Because also that algae is going to take up the nitrates, and it's going to keep the nitrates low in your tank. The sponge filters are a great way to filter your tank. They last pretty much forever. Nothing really mechanical in there to break down compared to your electric filters. Easy to swap if you've got multiple tanks, you've got multiple sponge filters. If you need to move one into a brand new tank, it's instantly cycled. Especially if you've got multiple filters in a tank and your tank is not overcrowded, you can easily take that one filter, put it in a new tank. That tank is instantly cycled, and you still got filtration in your current tank. You can pop in a new filter over there. Over time, it will colonize as well with bacteria. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What type of filtration do you prefer? Do you use sponge filters? How often are you maintaining those? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.